John Chandler, welcome to the Sport Profile.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. I love what you're doing with the podcast, so I'm excited to be on.
Thank you. I'm super excited for this too. When should I say we first connected? Would you say it's at the WNBA draft in 24? Or would you rather say it's in like 2012, 2013 when NBC was doing the health and fitness expos at MetLife?
Well, that was probably it, right?
Yes,
if you go all the way back, like on a professional level, the WNBA draft for sure. But like, that's what I loved about those things. You met so many people like coming through. I get excited when people like a young, version of Dylan, right, would come through and talk to me and say, these are my dreams. This is what I'm hoping to do.
Yeah.
And I love talking to people about that stuff, whether it's students, whether it's professionals who are in the industry. Like if you're out there and you need advice, whatever, reach out. I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me. It's very easy, right? And I might not get back to you right away. I got a lot going on.
Guys, kind of busy.
2 kids and a puppy, but hey, and a job. But like I love those conversations, right? Like that gets my gears going. Like I get excited about that. I start thinking about what are different things I could be doing. I get ideas, and I love seeing people develop and pull through and deliver on their dreams, right? Follow their dreams and work hard. And hey, it's never a clear path. It's never a straight road, but that's the beauty of it. So you're on your journey. We're all on a journey, and I love following along. So that was cool to see you at the expo, but then to bring it full circle at the WNBA draft, which was one of the best events I covered, I think.
You think so? How up there is that on like
there was a level of excitement for that, and I think it speaks to what is happening right now with women's sports. And we can we could dive into it, but for me, it goes back to college. I covered women's basketball in college at Boston University. I was the voice of their team at a time when they needed a radio voice, and I was the voice of the men's team, the voice of men's hockey at our student radio station, and we had an opportunity to travel with the women's team.
Oh, really?
And and just be like the regular play-by-play guy for women's basketball for BU. And I jumped at that. I thought that would be a great opportunity for our station, for myself and our fellow broadcasters who were, all trying to figure out how it works. And it was awesome, right? And you could see women's sports, and this is, I don't want to date myself, but like this is the late 90s, right?
Sure.
You could see the gray hair. It's fine. You could see it on the rise then, and to see what it has become and what it will become, because we're at kind of a transcendent moment right now for women's sports. I think it's awesome. I think it's great. Obviously, Caitlin Clark, right, is a big driver of that, but there's so much beyond her. There's so much talent out there that she kind of brings the sun and the attention over to it, but like it shines on everybody, I think. So
I agree.
That's why I loved that event.
It definitely, there was an added magnitude to that draft also because that was the first one that had like outside fans in it I want to say they last did it in 2016. They had some fans going and don't quote me on that, but like I know they were touting that one in 24 as like a obviously a big one with the draft class. They were having fans. It was at an actual venue, which I still think was too small. But I mean, you got Barclays Center right down the street. It's kind of right in front of you.
I know.
You could have done that.
And that's the thing. Like I've covered so many NBA drafts at Barclays Center over the years now. We go on the road for the NFL draft. But that felt, even though it was at BAM, and yes, it's a smaller venue, but it felt just as big to me on many levels, and I thought that was great.
Oh, for sure.
It was an event. Like the draft has become an event. Even Major League Baseball is starting to figure that out a little bit. The NHL, as niche as hockey can be, like that's
baseball too.
Yeah, and the WNBA draft with Caitlin Clark there, yes, like that felt like an event. So I thought that was
definitely.
Cool. Yeah,
definitely. So those are some of your favorite events on the field. What would you say are some of your favorite stories about like an athlete or a team maybe off the field that have stuck with you?
Boy. I mean, how much time do you have? So for me, like I got into covering sports obviously because you want to be where the action's at, right? Like,
sure.
As much as I love my studio work, like if I could be at, the last game of Derek Jeter's career when he hits walk-off single and that's it, and goes into the like, I wanna be there, and I was, you know? You wanna be on the sideline when it happens, you wanna be in the locker room afterwards asking the questions because that access, like, I don't take that for granted for for a day, like, that's
Right.
me, that's genuine, right? So that's one piece, but the other side of that is getting to know those athletes and getting to know their stories and their backgrounds and finding the stories that are not being told. Everybody's telling Aaron Judge's story,
Yeah.
right? Like that's the we're not everything has been uncovered there, right? And that's great. And I feel privileged to be having a fairly front row seat to what we're watching and one of the greatest players baseball has ever seen right in front of
Yeah.
us. That's awesome. You know, I was there when he hit his American League record breaking home run for a couple weeks straight. We were on the road with him.
Yep.
He, you know, he teased me, like, he looked at me once, he said, "I think I've seen more of you than my wife for the last 3 weeks," right? Like, we were in Toronto, we were in all of the home games, we were in Texas, like, we all went on
Damn.
the road with him, and, you know, it was like, he laughed, like, he's like, "I appreciate it," you know,
But, like,
and to his
also you're a
credit, by the way.
professional baseball player. You're gonna
Yeah,
be separated for a bit.
it's you know, but by the way, one of my favorite moments, and I guess you talk about, like, what are your favorite moments, right? So there's a big time story, right? The story of many of our lifetimes, really, like following Aaron Judge on this record pace, and he's
Yeah.
just crushing home runs and being on the road like that. And I'm not a regular beat writer where those
Mhm.
writers are on the road constantly and really
Right.
get to know the players. Like in television, we kind of dip in. I've got 11 pro teams to cover in New York, all these
Yeah.
colleges. Like we dip in and out here and there, and admittedly, we don't get to develop the relationships that the men and women working those beats every day do.
Sure.
So that said, we're on the road and we're finishing up our live shots, and Aaron Judge is hit his record home run, and all of the celebration has died down, and he had this beautiful moment with his family on the field, and
Yeah.
a bunch of us were on the field doing our live shots afterwards, and the stadium's dark and everything's quiet, and we've all wrapped up, and who pokes out his head out of the dugout but Aaron Judge? And he kind of just takes a look around and he looks at us and he goes, "Hey guys, I just want to say thanks." And we all kind of looked at each other like, "You talk to us, you know?" And I said, "No problem, Aaron. Thank you, you know, for giving us an amazing story to cover and for just
Yeah.
being such a genuinely nice guy, right?" And he goes, "No, it means a lot that you guys are all out here." So that was it. And then he ducked his head back into the dugout and waved goodbye. And that was to me one of my favorite moments in 25 years plus covering sports. And it wasn't a
Yeah.
moment we captured on camera. It didn't happen on live television. We had already finished all of our interviews with him and done all of that and painted the scene. But it was one of those things where I had such an appreciation in the moment for the moment, right?
Yeah.
But also for the window into just what kind of a person Aaron Judge is. Like, we got
Right.
a window into a front row seat into what kind of a player he is, and obviously that's a transcendent player. But
Yeah.
to get to know him as a person, you know, and I think all the beat writers will tell you, like, he is genuine. He is just a grade A human being, as are his parents, and I just saw it in that moment. I think we all saw it in that moment because there's not a lot of players who would come out or would feel compelled to come out to talk to us. I mean, obviously, it could be a little dicey, the relationship, players
Sure.
and reporters, right? So he didn't have to do that, and he did,
Right.
because that's who Aaron Judge is. And so those moments like that for me, um, God, that's the stuff that I treasure just as much as having a front row seat to Derek Jeter's last hit as a Yankee or World Series or Super Bowls or the Ryder Cup last month. I mean,
Yeah.
there's all that stuff is great, but I like the little stories that
The
sit with
genuine
me.
interactions. They're
Yeah, right? And
they're
also
more
the
pure.
players that you talk to, and you get to share their stories and tell the stories that otherwise might never be out there. I did a piece last year on this kid, and I'm old, so I call everybody kid.
Same.
But he's a young man, right?
Even
He's
though
a
I'm
college student.
26.
So, and his name is Arthur Dukes, and he was at the time leading the nation in scoring at, LaGuardia Community College, right? And he was homeless.
Really?
various things had gone wrong, and he was working, but just couldn't afford a new apartment after, he had been evicted from his previous one,
Wow.
and he's leading the nation in scoring. I mean, he's dominating. He had 250-point games to his name, and
My gosh.
you know, and albeit at like this, it's not the Division One level per se,
Yeah.
so you don't necessarily hear about that. But we're
Right.
like, okay, we gotta. Like, I got on the phone with my managing editor, and we're like, we got to tell this story. Like, this is impactful. This
Totally.
reaches people, I think, in ways that a story about LeBron James or Aaron Judge or whatever, you can't quite identify with that as
No.
much. But all of us living in New York City, like in the surrounding area, know how expensive it is here. And he wasn't doing
Yeah.
anything wrong. Like, so, you know, you gain his trust. He had never gone on camera telling the story before, and he did. And I'm forever appreciative of that honesty and that willingness and that trust to
Yeah.
sit down with us and open up and do it, because he felt like if he was in that situation, there had to be others. College, I mean, he's a college student. He has work. He's got excellent grades. He's obviously top athlete on his team. He's, the top player on his team, showing
Yeah.
up to practice every day, putting in the work, and yet can't seem to make ends meet. And I think a lot of people identify with that, and he wanted that story out there and trusted us to share it. So those kinds of things I feel just as privileged to be able to do. So that's a long answer to what's your favorite story?
No, but I think
But
it touches on a bunch of like really great points, obviously about humility, being genuine, which is so, so important. And, I know you as a very humble individual as well. I saw that picture from like, I think it was like 97 or 95. You were with your parents. You went, outside Rockefeller Center. There's a picture of you. You got those shades on. Um,
yeah, those
you
are
know,
those are
you
definitely vintage at this point.
you
Yep.
still got them?
I'll get that. I'm sure they're somewhere. Yeah, I still have those.
Well, my
My
parents still
wife
have my
my wife
glasses
was
from when I
proud
was
of
a
me. My
kid.
wife was like, "How many shirts are you?" in that picture? I was like, "It was 1995. What do you want?" I had
But I saw that you still go to that spot even today,
yeah.
being with NBC.
So if you go to my Instagram, it's on my Instagram. Yeah, my dad dug that picture up. We were looking at colleges. So it was 1995, and we had looked at, for reasons I still don't know, we had looked at NYU, and I say that not because it's not a good school. It's obviously a brilliant
I
school,
mean,
right?
yeah.
I would have gone to NYU in a heartbeat, but I did
Sure.
not have the grades to get into NYU.
Right.
So, and I had good grades, but I wasn't NYU level. So I don't know
Yeah.
why we even looked at NYU, but for some reason we did. At a young age, I knew I wanted to do this, so I was singularly focused coming out of high school. I was a journalism major. Now, whether I wanted to write or broadcast or whatever, I needed to find that path when I got to college, because I love to write. That's really my core. But I knew I wanted to do this. And so when we were in New York City, we made the tour around to see all the stations. But for me, growing up, and as much as like any kid that wants to be a sportscaster growing up wants to work at ESPN,
Sure.
for me, it was NBC. That's where I wanted. That was
Really?
my dream, right? Like, there's another picture from high school era, I think I posted it, of me in my NBC Sports hat, right?
No
Calling games in my
way.
high school. And that's because I was obsessed with the NBA on NBC. Like, that still, I can hear that round ball rock theme, and
Oh,
this
we're
is
gonna
gonna
hear it a
tie.
lot this
Yeah, we're
season.
gonna hear it a lot. Starting Tuesday, doubleheader, News 4 New York, NBC. You've got 2 games streaming on Peacock as well. It's gonna be a
Oh
big
yeah.
season. Round ball rock, NBA and NBC is back. And that has energized me in ways I can't even begin to explain, because when I was a kid and I'd hear that theme song, like, it puts me in a time and a place, right? I hear
Yeah.
round ball rock, and I'm a big music guy. Like, I love music. I
And we're
love
gonna
all
get into
kinds
that
of
too.
music, right? Like, and I love it for where it takes me.
Sure.
Like, a song has this ability to take you to a moment in time in your life, whether it's good, whether it's bad, it can take you there. And I think it's important to go there when the music is telling you to go there, right? And
Mm.
I hear round ball rock, and I hear Marv Albert welcoming, it is playoff basketball on NBC as the Cavaliers and the Chicago Bulls. Well, and I
That
can
was actually
feel
very
myself
good.
in Richfield Coliseum back in the day when those 80s and 90s Cavs teams would
That was a very
inevitably.
good impression of him.
Thank you. I've worked many, 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 many
My
years. But
goodness.
like, that's to me, that was my childhood.
Yeah.
Right? Watching Brad Daugherty and Mark Price and Larry Nance and Hot Rod Williams and those Cavs teams coached by Lenny Wilkens
Mhm.
inevitably get eliminated by Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. That's why I
Of
became a
course.
Knicks fan, because I wanted someone to beat the Bulls and Michael Jordan, and I loved Charles Oakley. He's a Cleveland
Yep.
area guy. Anthony Mason's one of my favorite players of all time. Like those
Rest in
Knicks
peace.
teams, man, you know?
Oh,
And then
yeah.
they would lose to the Bulls. So,
Of course.
I was setting myself up for disappointment, but anytime I hear Round Ball Rock, I get energized. So I
Oh,
wanted to
for
work at
sure.
NBC Sports. So we take that picture outside of the NBC studios at age 16, 17, and all these years later, I walk by that very same door off of the 49th Street marquee entrance on the underneath the marquee, and there's a little peacock on the granite on the side of the building,
Yeah.
and it's the same as it was in 1995. Only I have an office upstairs, and I don't take that for granted ever.
For
And that
sure.
to me is just like, dreams can come true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
No,
living them every
absolutely.
day.
100%.
Yeah,
It Some athletes will, like, maybe, when they're going out, they kinda, like, slap the
yeah,
motivational sign on top. You
sure.
do
Like
that
Notre Dame
going in?
football. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. You
yeah.
do you do that
Oh,
going
I
into the
definitely.
office?
I'll just brush my hand over the peacock going in. Security guards
Little
looking
good
at me
luck
like,
for
"What's
the
this? What's
feathers.
this guy doing?" But but it's you have to remind yourself
Yeah.
every day of whatever your peacock in life is, right? We all have them, and you got to remind yourself. We're all very fortunate to be living this life and to be doing what we do, whether it's what we want to do or there's always something more that everyone wants to do, right?
Right.
And that's important to have something to strive for, but don't take a day for granted, because you get too many reminders, unfortunately, that this is a
Yes.
short life. So
Yes.
live it,
Far too many.
live it. You know,
Yeah.
touch that peacock and remind yourself, like as you're walking by, or touch that "play like a champion" sign
Mhm.
every day to remind yourself that today's the day I'm going to play like a champ.
Yeah,
And I didn't even go to
absolutely.
Notre Dame, but
Me neither. I
it's
I
fine.
had no desire to go out of state. It took a lot for me to go to grad school even in Maryland.
Yeah.
Um, but something I also wanted to ask is, going off being humble, the sports teams that you cover now and, grew up loving, they humble us too.
Oh God.
Um, do
Giants
you
fans out there, oof, that was a rough one.
I texted you yesterday. I
Yeah,
said,
I know.
hopefully we're
It's
talking
gonna be
about a Giants win. We ain't doing that at all.
you jinxed it, man.
I deleted that.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
blame me.
was
I'll take it. I'll
that
take the
was
heat. I'll
my
take the
9-year-old was
smoke.
watching. I was making dinner at the time, and my 9-year-old, he was ready. Dinner was ready, right? And I was like, "Okay, guys, dinner's on the table." And he's like, "Dad, not now. This is very tense." My 9-year-old's a huge Giants fan,
Really? So
and
you so you
my
didn't raise your
12-year-old's a
kids on
Patriots fan.
Cleveland.
What's that?
You didn't raise your kids on Cleveland sports then.
No, they informed me at a very young age that we don't root for losers in our family.
Yeah, I
So,
don't know if that's still true.
yeah. So my 9-year-old's a Mets, Giants, Knicks fan.
Same.
I was like, "Buddy, you're setting yourself up for failure." But hey, my 12-year-old was born in Boston, so he loves all of the
Okay.
Boston teams. So even though we live in New York, he's
Okay.
true to his roots.
Sure.
Um, and he's very like hardcore about that. But
Yeah.
they are both. They just look at me. They're like, "Dad, it's fine. You root for your hometown teams, but we're not going down that road." So
That's amazing.
yeah.
Is there still like for you personally, is there still like that love for Cleveland sports that you had growing up? Or
Yeah.
I mean, what is it like now being a professional broadcaster, covering, the New York market, which, I mean, to
So
compare the two, yeah, they're winning a
yeah.
bit more than Cleveland.
So I've always felt a kindred spirit with Jets fans, right?
Really?
Being a Browns fan,
Yeah.
and I guess now Giants fans. The Jets and the Browns are probably two of the most miserable franchises in terms of
I'd agree.
success rate, that pro sports has seen, right?
I'd
I feel
agree.
like, and it's awful because as you cover these teams, and I know there's fans out there Islanders fans, I see you, I hear you. You think I hate your team. Mets fans, I see you, I hear you. You think I hate your team. I don't,
I
right?
mean,
I get messages
I
from
don't.
probably Islanders and Mets fans more than anyone about why don't you like us, right? And it's like,
What?
but, you know, I I have to report what I see, right?
Well,
And
yeah,
the
but
truth
also,
is, I love all the teams. Like, I don't root for the New York teams. I don't root against the New
of
York
course,
teams. I'm a journalist,
of
right?
course.
And people have a hard time. I get understanding that some people like I don't want your team to fail, but if your team fails, and if your team fails at an 0-7 start to the season and looks like a disaster under the first year head coach who looks overmatched right now, and they don't have a quarterback of the future or a quarterback of the present, I'm going to say
They
things
ain't got a
about your
quarterback of the
team that
present.
call that into question because that is my job.
Of course,
Right?
you got to do your
Justin
job.
Justin Fields is not getting it done. Aaron Glenn doesn't look like he has control of this team. Do I still think he could potentially be the coach for the Jets? Sure, but it doesn't look that way right now. And
No,
so you got to call it like it is, you know? Brian Dable struggles as a head coach at the NFL level in terms of clock management and decision making when things get dicey. And I think we
yep,
saw that in Denver yet again. Is he the coach that could develop Jackson Dart into a brilliant quarterback at the NFL level? Jury's still out on that, but
I
track
hope
record with
so.
Josh Allen was pretty good. Wasn't so good with Daniel Jones outside of the one playoff year. I don't know. I have to call those things like we see them. The Islanders
Of
have
course,
been pretty good. Had as good of a crack at a Stanley Cup as any of our hockey teams here, but they haven't broken through, and they can tend to be a bit of a mismanaged franchise at times.
yeah,
So that's I have to call things like I see them. That's where like I don't root for or against teams. I root for stories. I
of
want good
course.
stories, right? And I root for. I guess if I root for anything, I root for everyone to win because I want to see everyone succeed. That's just my nature.
Me
I'm a
too.
positive person.
Hmm.
But there hasn't been a lot of positive in the New York sports scene since I moved here 12 years ago. And still, I'm just, I'm waiting for it. But I understand that because I grew up a Cleveland sports fan and there was
Right.
not a lot of positive.
I mean, listen, you got LeBron in 2016. Well, you were here at the time,
We had
but
that.
like,
Yes.
and
And
I know you covered him in high school
I,
too.
I did. Yeah. No, somewhere in the depths of this attic office of mine here is a cassette tape, a video tape, because we used to shoot on videotape.
Yeah.
And again, I'm dating myself with that. It's an old DVC Pro tape. But anyways, it's from the very first game. I was a weekend sports producer after graduating Boston University and I needed a place to live, so I went back home to Cleveland, and I was the weekend sports producer at the ABC affiliate in Cleveland,
Hmm.
and was working on getting my resume tape together on the side, and it was a great job out of college, and it
Yeah.
put me at Akron St. Vincent St. Mary, it seems like every other day because that became the story. So I saved that tape because that was the first time that we went to go shoot LeBron James, freshman phenom, for St. V's in a game. It was like one of his first games. And our photographer brought the tape back. This is pre-text message. Tom Doe, great photographer out there. Tommy Doe brings this tape back and he's just holding it up as he's walking through the door, and it's 9:30 at night. Again, we don't have text message. So, you
Sure.
know, to get a communicate, like you had to wait for the photographer to come back in house to find out what you got. And he's
Right.
just shaking his head. And I'm like, Tommy, what you got? He's shaking his head and he just goes, watch. And he goes over to the deck, puts the tape in, hits play, and LeBron is just no looking people left and right. He comes
Oh
down the lane and
man.
just dunks it in this dude's face. Like he is a man amongst boys and he's a freshman. And we all, jaws on the floor, are looking at each other going, okay, things just changed. So I saved that tape because that was the last time in my life that I didn't really know who LeBron James was. And everything from there changed.
Yeah.
Everything. The success of the Cavs and the trajectory of their franchise, the city of Cleveland, I saw it just mushroom into something so much better than it was at the time,
Sure.
which was a steel town that had lost a lot of its steel industry and had fallen on some really hard times. And if one person has the ability to lift up an entire fan base and collectively an entire city, LeBron James had that ability. And it was
Right.
brilliant to watch. So I'm forever grateful. I guess your previous question about what's the greatest story you've ever covered, I guess it's that. I guess it's watching LeBron James develop into this shy kid who I remember in the back of the arena going up to him for an interview when he was a freshman and saying, "Hey, Bron, can I get you real quick?" And he goes, "You want to talk to me?" I'm like, "Yeah,
Really?
yeah, you're kind of the best player on the planet right now at your age." Yeah,
As if he doesn't know.
we kind of need to, but he was so humble. I mean, he was so humble as a freshman, and he said, "Okay, but only if you talk to my teammates." And I said,
Wow.
"Okay, yeah, we'll talk to all of them. You line them up for us right now, but if we can talk to you
Yeah.
too, that would kind of be good. We kind of need you." And he was good. He understood it, and I'm forever appreciative to that window into his development as a person and a player,
Yeah.
and the way he lifted our hometown.
No,
Um,
for sure.
well, Akron's his hometown. Cleveland's not
Right.
really his. He likes to remind people of that. He's from Akron, not from Cleveland, but
Right.
the larger, greater Cleveland area. He really did lift it up, and it was powerful to see.
No,
So
for
I
sure.
have that tape because
Oh, you
that
gotta
was a
keep that
seminal moment.
sealed away.
Yeah.
You
I
got
don't know that I have a DVC Pro deck to watch it on anymore. Like, does
That's valid.
it's a different world now.
Yeah, that's valid.
That that was so I told this story recently at an event that I was at. Speaking of tape, right?
Sure.
I was that weekend sports producer, and at this point, we covered LeBron because the Cavs were terrible. This was 2000, 2001.
Right.
Cavs were terrible. The Browns obviously had just come back. They were struggling. That was still a big story. LeBron became the story, right?
Of course.
Every night it was in our editorial meetings. It was what angle are we taking to cover LeBron and St. Vincent St. Mary's today?
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to games and like Shaq is next to you at games. Kobe is next to you at games. Deion Sanders is coming to games. I mean, it
Oh
was
my
a
gosh.
who's who. At high school games, they had to play in bigger arenas than the high school because they couldn't
Now,
contain
why
the
does that
amount,
sound familiar?
right? So we're covering LeBron, and Allen Iverson scores 60 some points on the Cavs one night at what was then called Gund Arena, and ESPN calls. And, I'm 22 years old, out of college, would like to work at ESPN someday,
Sure.
right? And I see ESPN calling, and the assignment editor says, "Hey, are you guys going to get AI in postgame? He just scored 60 some on the Cavs." "Oh, we weren't we weren't planning on going to get Cavs postgame that night. No, we were covering LeBron." He says, "Well, if you get Iverson, we want it for SportsCenter." Well, all of a sudden, guess what? We're going to get Allen Iverson because I'm thinking this is my ticket, right? This is it.
Yeah.
ESPN calls, SportsCenter wants Allen Iverson. I'm going to get in that locker room and talk to Allen Iverson. So we got a crew. We're headed in there. We're doing the interview, and Iverson's at his locker, and he motions us over like, "Come on." He sees the camera and my microphone, and I'm thinking, "Oh, this is too good." So we get going. I start asking a few questions, and the photographer's like, John. I'm like, "What? Not now, man. I'm cooking." He's like, "John, I didn't put a tape in the camera." Iverson goes, "Wait, what? What did you just say?"
Oh
So
no.
through all of that, he goes through this, the practice routine, right? Not a game,
Yeah.
not a game. We're talking about practice. He goes, "What's your job? What do you need to do your job? You need a tape." He's like riffing on the practice routine.
Before.
He looks at me. He's like, "Where's the tape?" I'm like, "It's in the bag in the hallway." And he just kind of looks at me and he goes, "I'll wait." And so I went it. I probably set a record time. Like, I don't run very fast.
Sure.
I hauled it, got the tape. We got back. We got the interview. We got on the Sports Center. I did
That's
not get a job at
awesome.
ESPN, but I got an appreciation for Allen Iverson
Yeah.
and the person he is for doing. Like, I will never ever forget that, and I will be forever grateful for Allen Iverson having the grace in that moment because he very easily could have been like, "Get the hell out of here, kid.
Sure.
You're done." And I would have understood.
And I
I would
feel
have
like
been like,
many
"You know
pro
what?"
athletes would.
Right, because I made a huge mistake. Like, I made a massive mistake there, right? And
Right.
Iverson would have had every right to be like, "Kid, get out of here. You're not ready for prime time."
Yeah.
And he would have been right. I screwed up. And he had the grace in that moment to be like, "Nah, it's all good, man.
Yeah.
I'll wait." And we got the interview done, and it was all good. So
So even
I'm glad
after
we don't shoot on tape anymore.
oh my god, yeah, you kidding?
Yeah.
Even after, whatever mistakes or screw ups happen throughout, careers or in moments, something I know that keeps you grounded is, you're a big musician. You call yourself a hack guitarist. First of all, I need to know where that phrase comes from. Second,
Uh,
I love the guitars in the back
oh,
in the
there,
back
yeah,
corner over there.
yeah.
What's the story behind those and your musical talents that nobody gets to see?
Well, the hack guitarist means I'm not that talented. um,
But I
hack
mean,
guitarist means like I'm not playing open mic nights or anything anytime soon.
sure.
Like I'm just, like you're not gonna see me busking in a subway. I'm not at that
No
level.
busking after a live hit?
No, no, maybe if I need a, yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I could, like the dog does not like when I play the guitar here. So, nor do the kids. But no, it's something I've always loved music. My parents, my dad played keyboards in a band when he was in high school, and
That's so
is
cool.
still to this day a very talented pianist. So, like when I grew up, like I had to take piano lessons. That was non-negotiable.
Of
My
course.
brother and I both took piano lessons. I stuck with it for like a decade. And uh, always wanted to learn guitar. So I don't know. I was living in Boston. A college. My One of my best friends had taken up guitar, and we were a bunch of guys that my wife would work during the day. I worked at night, so I had mornings free,
Yeah.
and we didn't have kids yet. Like I had time to kill, so I got a beat up guitar right there. That's a 12 string.
Oh,
It
I
does not
need a
sound
12
great,
string.
but
I would
it's,
love a 12 string one day.
I can yeah, well, this not this one because it doesn't sound very good, but, like, I
You
bought
can
it for,
keep
like,
it.
$10 off of someone on Craigslist, I think, in Boston way back in the day over by, like, Berklee School of Music, and
Mhm.
I've kept it because it's sentimental to me,
Absolutely.
uh, but it was something to kill time, like, I wanted to learn how to do it, um, so I'm self-taught, um,
That's
God
sick.
bless my wife for sitting around and listening to me progress on
And the kids and the
guitar,
dog.
and the kids and the dog eventually. And no, I mean, I got a repertoire of Tom Petty songs that I can play or whatever. Like, I
Ooh.
don't know. It's something for me, and I think we all need this is a release, right? Like
Yes.
the job and the life can be very stressful.
Yeah.
Whatever the job and the life entail for you. We all have our stresses in life. We all have our moments where we need to just take a breath. And so sometimes there's times, and they don't happen admittedly as frequently as they used to pre-kids and dog and all that. But there's times where I got to come up here, I got to grab my guitar, and I got to play some Pearl Jam. So so that's what I do, or
I
break
feel like
off a
you and
little
I
like
have
12
similar
bar blues
tastes.
or something like. What's that?
You and I definitely have similar tastes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, how can you not like Pearl Jam? Pearl Jam is one of the greatest to
Yeah.
me. Eddie and the Boys are phenomenal. So, they've and again, it goes back to songs putting you in a time and a place,
Yeah.
so the extension of that is when I hear a song or I think of a song and I'm on the train coming in, I'm usually listening. If you see me in the city walking to work or whatever, I always got the earbuds in. I'm usually listening to something that's in my head that, musically it's got to take me somewhere.
Right.
Um, some days it's mellow, some days it's rage, whatever. But that's all good. That's all healthy, right?
It
And so that's an
is.
extension of it. Some days I need to be transported to a time and a place, so I go pick up the guitar, and it's also a challenge, Like I love hearing a song and being like, "Man, can I find a way to play that?" And
Yeah.
sometimes
That's
I
a good
can't,
point.
sometimes I can, but it's I don't know. I guess it keeps you sharp, keeps the mind sharp.
Totally.
So that's why I do it.
Yeah,
So I have
something
a
else that
keyboard
keeps
here
you
too.
sharp. Oh,
Yeah,
something else
still
that keeps you sharp too are like pet peeves in the industry, and I'm curious what some of yours are.
oh, uh, yeah, I don't know if we have all day for this.
Give me one.
On and off the field. The phrase "on and off the field" drives me irrationally up a wall.
Really?
I just feel like that's such a verbal crutch, I hate it, and I'm guilty of doing it.
Sure,
All
we
of
all
these
are.
things that I say I hate, right? So there's a long list of cliches that I
Of
hate.
course.
Um, No, the phrase "on and off the field" drives me nuts.
Just
Just
sounds weird.
just sounds weird. There's only 2 places to go. You're either on the field or you're off the field.
Well,
So
yeah.
we are all on and off the field in our own ways. It's like, I don't know. It's but I think it's something that has become so redundant that, and so overused, um, and it's not necessary. And sometimes in a pinch, we rely on those verbal crutches, especially
Yeah,
when you're on a tight deadline, and I'm guilty of it, man.
we all
I'm
are.
absolutely guilty of it on a tight deadline. And there's things that I've written that, because in our business, the most important thing is to make slot. Making slot means the time that you're slotted into a show. And this
Yeah.
is something that's changing with the industry a little bit because, linear television is less of a daily thing in our lives, and certainly in younger audiences than watching on the phone here,
Yeah.
or streaming. So it's a little different, and I think our industry is trying to figure that out. But back in the day, and still like today, when you've got to make slot, that means they put you in for 5:12 in the evening on the 5 o'clock news, right? So you're slotted for 5:12 p.m. And if you miss that, or if you're higher, if you're in the A block and you're, the very first story, which is called the lead story, and the
Mhm.
A block is called like that's the beginning of the show. So all the shows are structured in blocks around commercial breaks.
Right.
So you have your A block, then you take a commercial break. You have your B block, then you take a commercial break. You have your C block, and it goes on and on and on, depending on
Mhm.
how long the show is. And yes, like the more important news of the day ends up in the A block, although what is important, I think, is relative to who's watching. But
Of course.
your hard news of the day, your breaking news, those are A block stories.
Yeah.
Or Yankees Red Sox clinching game of the wild card, like in a playoff series. That's an A
Mhm.
block story,
Of
right?
course.
If you're doing a feature on a player or something that's not a playoff game or something, maybe that's not an A block story. But if they give
Yeah.
you a time to hit, you got to hit that time because if you don't, if you miss slot, you've just caused the producer and the production team back in the control room absolute havoc because they have to just rejigger everything now in their lineup, and they may have to tell the meteorologist to be in place a lot sooner than he or she had to be because we've just lost a story and you got to move it up in the show because everything's timed, right?
Right.
And so if you miss slot, that's not good. And so in order to not miss slot, sometimes we have to
Use cliches.
use cliches to get on the air. And there's definitely been times where I've written stuff and then I watched it back or heard it back on television and been like, oh, what did I just do? Why did I
Yeah.
why did I say that? I can hear my God bless him, my old professor, Jack Falla from Boston University, who we lost years ago, but,
Mm.
he'd be just shaking his head going, "Chandler, why did you say that?" And on and off the field was one of his pet peeves. So,
Really?
that stems from him. He gave us a list in our sports
Oh, he
journalism.
gave you a
He
list?
gave us a list of
I
things
never
that he
got a
never
list.
never wanted you to write or say,
Dang, that's
because he
good.
just felt like you can be better than whatever the cliche is that you're leaning on, and he's
Yeah.
right. He pushed us, so I try to push myself every day. So pet peeves,
Totally.
cliches, on and off the field. I hate that. Absolutely hate that.
What's your pet peeve about
Because you can
yeah,
be better.
do you have any pet peeves about getting pitched? Getting pitch stories? Or does that not
Oh,
happen a lot?
get my name right, please. I mean, out of the
Really?
gates, yeah. So I'll get emails from PR people that just say, "Hi, Chandler."
Really?
I'm like, no, I wasn't on Friends. My last name is not Bing. Like that was my nickname in high school.
Bing?
But yeah, oh yeah. One of my many nicknames. Yeah, because
Sure.
Friends was a big deal in the
Of
'90s,
course.
and Chandler Bing.
Of course, yeah.
But no, yeah, my name is not Chandler. And we're not
Oh,
people call
no.
me Chandler, yeah, like my buddies, but we're not on that kind of a basis yet. So,
Oh,
um,
no.
and by that same token, please don't call me Mr. Chandler.
Okay.
Just
Yeah.
call me John. That's my name.
Right.
So out of the gates, but also like I don't have time, and so this for all of you who are in PR out there who might be watching, like I get a lot of good story ideas that come from
Yeah.
pitches, and that's great. But a lot of them come with a little bit of a quid pro quo attached.
Yeah.
And, in the radio business, there's always that, and we've seen it we've seen it blow up in athletes' faces. Not
I've
so
seen that
I'm
too.
thinking Matt Harvey, going on the Dan Patrick show, I believe it was, and there's a quid pro quo. Like you know, as an athlete, if you're pitching something, and you're going to do a radio appearance. And when I worked in radio, like we did this a lot. You know, if you have that athlete on, he or she gets to talk about whatever the product is that they're representing, right? But we get to ask some questions, right? There's an
Of course.
exchange, and so we're going to talk about the product that you're pitching. I can remember
Yeah.
doing an interview with Joe Montana, and he wanted to talk about Skechers, right? He was wearing
Okay.
those sneakers, right?
Yeah.
And somewhere back here, there's a picture of me with Joe Montana on set, um,
Nice.
at my old station, and he's the best. I love Joe Montana. Wonderful,
Mhm.
wonderful guy. And he got it, like, I'm gonna ask you some questions about throwing the ball to Jerry Rice, and, the Browns had just drafted Charlie Fry at quarterback, and I think maybe Braylon Edwards at wide receiver, so I'm gonna ask you about that young quarterback, wide receiver dynamic and try to pick your brain a little bit about that and football.
Yeah.
We're gonna get to the Skechers, and I'm not gonna leave that out, but, that's the quid pro quo, right?
Right.
Well, as a journalist, I can't do that. Like, we're not doing quid pro quo. Like, I'm a
Yeah.
journalist. We are asking questions and presenting a story, and we're not doing it with a wink and a nod to, like, we're gonna talk good about your product,
Yeah.
right? Because I'm not a salesperson,
Right.
and I'm not your production company, and so I'm not here to produce a commercial for your product. And so, and I'll give you a quick non-sports related example.
Please.
Um, we we so I do a lot of news reporting as well
Absolutely.
at our station,
Yeah.
and there was and I won't name names. I'm
Of
not going to
course.
throw anyone under the bus here, but there was a division of government here in New York City. There was a, a part of New York City that had reached out to set up a story they wanted to do on something specific to them. And let's just so I'm assigned to go do that. So I go
Yeah.
cover the story, and in this case, I was shooting it by myself. A lot of times I'm what's called an MMJ, right? So I have a
Right.
camera, I have equipment, I go out, I shoot a story, I talk to people, and then I edit the story myself, I write it myself, I put it all together, right?
Yeah.
But all of that has to go through our standards, right? So all
Of
of that,
course.
like whatever I write goes through an editorial team, whatever I report on, and part of that reporting isn't just what you write in the story, but it's what you see, what you learn from interviews, the questions you ask, the answers that are given to those questions,
Mhm.
what you see with your eyes and
Yep.
your ears, what you hear with them. And so I'm on the scene for this story, and in doing it, I'm realizing that there is a bigger story concerning New York citizens that highlights a problem within this government agency.
Right.
And so
You gotta get that
I'm
one.
asking questions, and I'm seeing it before, and they're showing it to me before my eyes, and it becomes the story.
Of course.
That becomes the story, and I check back with my managing editor, and we all agree. We're like, "Nope, that's the story. We can't gloss over this
No.
because this is important to people." And it ended up mushrooming into a bigger thing. So our reporting kind of changed the process for which this government agency had to do things. And that ultimately, as a journalist, that's what you
That's the
hope.
goal.
That's the goal. That's the end game is, can you enact some sort of change that's going to be beneficial to the people that
Right.
you're trying to serve? And at the end of the day, like, there is a public service to what we're doing, right? We're trying to
Absolutely.
inform people. We're trying to shine a light into the dark corners. And this was one of those shining the light into the dark corners. And it didn't
Yeah.
go the way that agency intended it to go when they initially had pitched it to us. And let's just say there were some very, very rough phone calls that ensued, um, that I had to answer from that
Yeah.
point on, right? And I
I've
had to
gotten those
explain to
too.
them, and the PR person's on the other end of the phone, the PIO is on the other end of the phone. Why? That's not what we pitched, and this is disrespectful to us. And I'm like, well, I'm not here to be your promotional wing, you
Right.
know? And they were like, you weren't supposed to shoot that video. You weren't supposed to talk about that. And I'm like, but I'm a journalist. And if I see it, I have to report it. I'm obligated to do that because
That is
that
the
doesn't
job.
serve the community that you're frankly not serving very well. Like, my job is to shine that light, and we take that very, very, very seriously. And so I
Absolutely.
think that balance of, like, having to do that in news, and to a lesser degree in sports, because let's just be real, like, it's the toy box. Like, we take it very seriously.
Yeah,
Like,
of
Giants
course.
fans, I know you're crushed by that loss yesterday, right? But giving up 33 points to the Broncos in the fourth quarter
Yeah,
and
it's kinda
wondering
bad.
what's going on with your team, yeah, that's bad, but you're gonna live to see another day. You're gonna wake up
Yeah.
the next day, and God willing, it's gonna be a good day. There's a lot of people that are gonna wake up the next day and have a lot of struggles that are real life stuff. And so
Right.
working at news and getting to shine that light into the corner and hopefully helping people through some of that real life stuff. So PR people, if you're pitching me and you think there's something you're trying to cover up and you think let's cover it up by having a good story that's told, if it stinks, we're gonna smell it,
Yeah.
you know?
Loudly.
And then we're gonna have to talk about it, and we're gonna have to tell people how much it stinks,
Yeah. I
because
get
that's our
that.
job.
I end every interview, an episode with the same question, and
Yeah.
that is just professionalism aside, like reporting, NBC aside, just you as a person. What's something you like most or admire about yourself?
So you've hit my absolute weakness, and
Have
my
I?
absolute my weakness is me. I,
Really?
yeah, I hate talking about myself. I hate, yeah, I'm sorry. I know it's weird, like, I work in television, and I put makeup on and I go on TV and but uh and part of that job is to, like, watch back our air checks, which are, like, the copies of the shows, and you have
Sure.
to do that, like, you have to watch it back, otherwise you're
Absolutely.
not gonna get better. It's like an athlete watching game film. Like,
Totally.
Aaron Judge has to watch videos of his swing,
Yeah.
especially when it's bad, like, when he strikes out with the bases loaded, which occasionally happens to everybody in baseball.
Mhm.
When I flub a word on live television, which occasionally happens to everyone on live television,
Yep.
I gotta watch it back because I gotta find out what I did wrong or where I went wrong.
Totally.
So yeah. I don't my biggest weakness is probably my self-confidence. It's not good. I gotta be I guess if I appreciate anything about myself, it's those gu I guess maybe it's those guitars over my shoulder that
Definitely.
I was able to teach myself guitar
Definitely.
and find that.
Because not many people
I
do that. Not many
Yeah,
people have the initiative to take up something to better themselves or to
right.
just like have that escape from, the real world things. So
Yeah,
absolutely
no,
that
and I
exists.
urge everybody to find something. Find your
Yeah,
guitar out there, whatever that is. I guess if there's anything I would say I love about myself, like, I hope I'm a good husband, I hope I'm a good father.
absolutely.
At the end of the day, that's really all I care about is, I want that for my wife and for my kids and my dog, is just to be a guy that they can lean on and trust, and
100%.
I know I drive them absolutely nuts plenty of days. My poor wife, God. And my kids too, but, but my wife, God bless her, she's the absolute best. She is the rock of our family. Um, and God, she's had to put up with me for far too many years. So, um, you know,
I love that.
yeah. So I
Well,
don't know. I love being a husband. I love being a dad. It's the greatest assignment that any journalist can get is to have a partner like Amanda, and for the two of us to get to watch our kids grow into the young men that they're growing into, and make mistakes along the way. And I'm not a perfect
totally.
dad by any means, but getting to getting to coach them in little league and be at their baseball games and whatever sport they're taking up, and see their failures and see their struggles and see their moments and be there for them. And that's the hard thing about this business is it takes us from a lot of those moments.
Sure.
um there's far too many nights that I've missed. But I'm fortunate that I work for a place that is understanding, and forever grateful for WNBC, to the staff there, to understand, like, hey, there's some things that I just have to be at. I can't miss.
Right.
Get that. So,
Yeah. I
but
love that.
yeah, I mean, that's life. We all have things that we can't be everywhere and everything to everyone at all times. We just try
Right.
our best. Sometimes we fall short, and that's okay.
It is.
You just got to pick yourself up and move on. So
You
I
better
don't know.
believe it.
That's it.
Well,
I'm
John,
sorry,
thank
that's a
you.
depressing answer. I can't,
No,
like,
it's
I
it's
wish I
it's a
could tell you,
great
like, "Man,
answer.
I shred on guitar. It's amazing. You should see me watch. I'm gonna be playing, the this club next weekend?
It's a
No, I can't.
beautiful answer. It's an honest answer. It speaks to who you are as a person, and it's authentic to you, which is
Yeah.
what's most important. Well, John, thank you so much for coming on. It
Dylan,
means a lot,
appreciate
and
it.
it's great to chat, and I'm looking forward to the rest seeing what you do every single day. Always am.
Well, some days it's interesting. Some days I'm cleaning up the mess that my dog left in the morning, which was
Hey,
today.
man,
But hey, we're doing it,
it's
and that's
just a
the
part
important.
of the job.
It's a part of the job called life, and
You better believe it.
what better job for all of us to have. So I appreciate you, Dylan, and I appreciate all of you out there. And honestly, it means everything. Everyone that's watching and listening and tuning in, like to all of our work. There's so much great work that's out there, including you, what you're doing here with the sport profile. Like, no, seriously, it's a
Thank
really
you.
important thing, an important space, and I'm so appreciative that you're giving people, um, you know, this space to talk about ourselves and to delve into the industry and highlighting people like my guy John Fanta. I love that you had John
Yeah.
Fanta on, fellow St. Ignatius Wildcat from Cleveland, Ohio, right? So it's cool. It's cool what you're doing. It's cool what you're building here.
Thank you, man.
And it all goes back to that WNBA draft and to the Health and Wellness Expo and
They still do those?
every year.
NBC's not
We're
doing
gonna
those
bring those
anymore, are
back.
they?
Those fell victim to COVID. That was one of those things that
Bringing them back.
hopefully we can. I don't know. We all talk about it at work. We love this
Really?
in some form. I hope it comes back. I don't know. There's
Oh,
nothing
well,
on
if
the
it does, you
schedule,
know
but
I'm coming.
I feel like we should because it's a great
Yeah,
opportunity. In some way, we have to find ways to connect with our viewers because
totally.
and that's the one thing I'll say. Like there's so many people that come up to me at whatever game I'm covering.
Yeah.
I think like I get people come up to me. It blows my mind to this day that someone would come up to me and like that. It blows my mind that people like that I'm someone people would want to talk to, but like people come up to me at my kids' games or,
Yeah.
certainly at games that I'm out covering and I love those. And like, I live for that. Right.
Sure.
And it genuinely makes my day. And I'll say this, even if you have a bone to pick with me, if you don't like something I said on television, Islanders fans, Mets fans, I hear you. Yes, I see those messages you sent me. I love all of those teams. I actually rooted for the Mets going back to the 80s, right? Like I do love the Mets.
Yeah.
We love the Isles. That's an Islanders jersey right over there in that frame, right? But I love all of our teams in New York. I want everybody to win. But, hey, if you got a bone to pick with me, come say it. Come talk to me. I love that too, right? I value that interaction because I value people watching.
Absolutely.
Because these are your teams, right? And I'm privileged to get to talk about them and to get to share information with all of you about them.
Absolutely. So. This episode is brought to you by Digital Sport by Hot Paper Lantern, a division of the PR, brand, and marketing agency Hot Paper Lantern. Digital Sport by Hot Paper Lantern helps brands grow at the intersection of sports, tech, and gaming. Learn more at hpldigitalsport.com or find them on LinkedIn at Digital Sport by Hot Paper Lantern.